continue to express frustration over school reopenings or delays in some cases. Republicans in some states are stepping in to help by introducing legislation, giving parents more options. Joining us now, Dave Avella, GOPAC chairman and Fox News contributor, and Leslie Marshall. All right, you guys look ready to go? I will put this up on the screen, and I will go to you first on this, David, because this is the Wall Street Journal editorial board on this. School choice momentum in the states. The Biden administration seems committed to indulging teachers' unions that oppose charter and private schools, but the more important political action may be outside of Washington, as Republicans in more than a dozen states have responded to parental frustration with school closures by introducing legislation to expand education choice. Is school choice the answer to not having a problem like this again, David?
It's an answer. The bigger answer is getting the public schools open and helping those who told us all throughout this pandemic to follow the science and follow the data, to get them to actually follow the science and follow the data, as all, including President Biden's CDC director, who says it's not schools that will be spreaders of this. And we could do lots of things. We could put money into giving bonuses to teachers who are willing to be in the classroom. We could set it up where we have individuals in the classroom to monitor students, and a teacher who doesn't want to be in the classroom could be joining remotely to do the teaching. There's lots of innovation that could occur. You just have to have leaders willing to step up and look outside the box.
I just wonder, Leslie, why you don't see this new president taking a bigger stand on this, knowing that there are millions of American school kids that are still sitting at home, not in the classroom, when so many other schools across this country have figured out to do that safely.
Well, it depends where you are, where you're located. I mean, I'm going crazy with my 12 and 13-year-old at home, but I'm in Los Angeles County, and we have some of the biggest numbers, not just in the country, but in the world with regard to COVID.
But how does that affect kids in the classroom? How does the community numbers affect kids in the classroom?
First of all, Joe Biden has said getting kids back into school is a priority, and the CDC is going to release the guidelines. Second, in any state, whether it's blue or it's red, you can send your kid to a private school like here in California, but the state guidelines you're still going to have to comply with. And in addition to that, you have schools we saw in San Diego, in a more red district in our state, that opened 2 days later. 100 kids are quarantined because they came into contact with somebody that had COVID. And then lastly, you're not taking money away and punishing the teachers or politicians. You're punishing the children, because in a lot of these districts throughout the country, kids that have school choice, their parents may not have the transportation to send them to that charter school or to send them to that private religious institution.
I couldn't believe on Friday they called a lid the White House, 3:30 in the afternoon, and President Biden left for the weekend. I mean, shouldn't we be sitting down figuring this out and putting the utmost urgency on these kids that are sitting at home, in some cases very bad conditions? You look at the numbers. Public schools in 33 states, David, have lost 500,000 students since the 2019-2020 school year. Where have they gone? Private schools. They've gone to pods. People have hired tutors so that their kids can all work together. That benefits rich people. That's people who can afford it. I mean, so this is really, really having the biggest impact on poor families and poor kids whose parents can't afford to do that.
Absolutely. And add to that, we're not looking down the road at the additional help that schools are going to need, whether that be putting more counselors to help with the mental illnesses. Suicide continues to be a concern amongst teenage kids, making sure they get the right nutritional. The big problem is certainly getting the schools open. The bigger problem is the issues that having schools shut down for so long are creating, including as you get to the college level. I serve on the board of governors for Shepherd University. 45% of college graduates have lost entry-level jobs. They are gone. They aren't there anymore. Yeah. And as these children get out of school, there's nowhere for them to get a job.
Leslie, the president was asked about this in that Super Bowl interview. Let's listen to a bit of it, because I don't know that we got a clear answer where he stands on this. Listen.
I think it's time for schools to reopen safely. You have to have fewer people in the classroom. You have to have ventilation systems that have been reworked. Our CDC commissioner is going to be coming out with science-based judgment within, I think, as early as Wednesday, as to lay out what the minimum requirements are.
Well, see, I think that spurs a lot of frustration. Safely, we got it. We all want people to return safely. But again, these parochial schools, they've attracted so many students across the country because they've opened their doors and they've been able to do so safely. And to go back to the his CDC director's own words, we can do this. And the teachers don't even have to be vaccinated to safely return to the classroom. He promised to listen to the science, President Biden. Is he?
Yes, he is. I mean, he has said we want to reopen them. We want to reopen them safely. Then he says perhaps as early as 2 days from now, the CDC is going to say, and this is how we do that. And then, of course, schools have to put that into play. And that's going to, for different schools,
they've had a lot of time to prepare.
If you have less kids in, yes, they've had a lot of time to prepare, but you have different numbers, not just with COVID, but with class size. And you also have some parents that prefer to have their kids at home, and that's why the hybrid a lot of schools are doing seems to be very successful, to have less kids in the classroom.
I've got to leave it there. Thanks to both of you for joining us. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.